So, hey guys, welcome to another episode of Digital Coach, where each week I speak to some of the fitness industry's experts and pioneers on their insights on how we can stay ahead of the trends and also start to embrace a digital offering. Today, I'm joined by the amazing Lauren Shroyer. She is the Senior Director of Product at ACE, which is the American Council on Exercise, has a huge amount of experience within the industry as a fitness professional as well, and a rehab specialist, and also now looking at education and also through technology. So thank you for joining me, Lauren. How are you today?
Oh, I'm great, Ben, and really happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Good. So, I mean, obviously, I mentioned there that you're now the Senior Director of Product at ACE. Can you tell us a bit more about that role, first and foremost?
Sure, absolutely. ACE is a nonprofit certification and education company here in the United States, and I love my role here. It's a blast. We create education for fitness professionals and health coaches, from GFIs, personal trainers, medical exercise specialists, and we create education that helps people serve their customer regardless of what their client needs are. Very recently, we've really dived deeply into the behavior change side of the industry, which has been a fantastic learning experience, both for me and for our professionals. So I
Yeah,
love my job.
amazing. Yeah, I mean, so for some of the trainers that are watching this, if you're a UK based and you maybe haven't come across a lot of the ACE education platform, do check out especially the behavior change stuff. But obviously before that, you have been in the industry for quite a while, right? So,
A
is it
while.
background rehab? Is that how you started, kind of the rehab side of things? Or was it, because obviously we met, with more regards to, I guess, movement, right? Through the Institute of
Right.
Motion. But was it rehab that set you off into the fitness industry?
Yeah, I started in athletics actually with as a certified athletic trainer is what it's called here in the United States, and that role is doing evaluation of injuries, rehabilitation of injuries, post-surgical rehabilitation for athletes. So I started at a Division I university, working with 20 different sports, and my primary role was rehabilitation of injuries,
Oh, okay.
post-surgical and post-injury. Yeah, so that's how I
Yeah.
started out.
Okay, cool. So we're now in the coronavirus epidemic,
We are.
pandemic. People have had to pivot overnight. How have you found kind of ACE certified professionals are coping, and kind of what's the talk within the ACE community at the moment?
I've really been um, thrilled to see it. I'm so proud to see the quick adaptability to this new situation and the desire for ACE certified professionals to continue to serve their clients and to
Mm,
serve their health and their needs, regardless of the fact that they can't get together in person. So it's been
yeah,
really awesome to see.
yeah.
And at ACE, we've been doing our best to try to give them information and give them tools that they might not have previously been aware of so that they can continue to serve their customers.
Yeah. Have you seen many that have really struggled? I mean, are they still struggling, or, what's the kind of feedback, or what are they kind of asking ACE mostly for, or is there not really a theme?
What's interesting? I think the people we're hearing from the most are the people who have jumped up and said, I need to shift and I need to make a change and I need to adapt to this situation. And I'm going to look to ACE for help. I think the people who are struggling, and I know that they are out there, are doing so silently.
Yeah.
It's always just so hard to know, but I think that's the truth of this situation. It's human nature. It tends to be that people who are struggling turn into themselves, maybe
Yeah.
just into a few close friends, and struggle silently. And I think that's not just true of fitness professionals today, but
No.
during this pandemic, I think a lot of people are doing that.
Yeah, I mean that's why kind of we put this channel together to kind of hopefully help and build some sort of two-way conversation, because same here in the UK, when speaking and looking at the communities, some people kind of had an online offering and now realize some of the value that they didn't actually think was so important before, which kind of like what we're talking about, the behavior change stuff is now really kind of what people are needing when their clients are stuck at home, and some are just kind of freezing. And so
Mm.
that's interesting. Do you think that, with regards to the gyms then in the US, or, where you're based, is is, are many of the gyms kind of offering a digital offering, or what's been kind of going on there?
Yeah, it's been fascinating to watch. Most obviously, the smaller companies are able to pivot faster.
Mm,
So we've definitely seen some pivots, people jumping on to different platforms to make sure that they're able to offer digital offerings as quickly as possible. We've seen bigger ones that already had some sort of a digital offering, trying to leverage
yeah.
that. Many of them are just giving their on-demand services away, and
Yeah.
struggling at how to monetize it is what I'm seeing in the
Yes.
bigger gym space. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, we'll get onto the monetizing things. But, you mentioned behavior change. So that's kind of one of the things I definitely thought we could discuss, because, I mean, you may differ, but in opinion, but, some of the guys that are watching this may not have really even delved into behavior change yet. Do you want to kind of give us a bit more of an insight into what ACE have been trying to push out to the professionals?
Sure, absolutely. Behavior change is it's such an exceptional tool to coaches, whether you're in person or you're at a distance. At a distance, it becomes more essential, just like you said. You have to be able to help people dig into their intrinsic motivation so that they stay on track on their own.
Mm.
And I mean, everybody's seen all the memes that are out there where, everyone's joking about, gaining 10 pounds and
Yeah.
and sorry, I don't know what that is in kilos, but
About 5 kg. Yeah.
okay. But it is it's important to be able to make that connection. But even in person, the behavior change connection means that you are understanding the values and the goals of the individual person that you're
Mm.
coaching, understanding them at the deepest level to help them stay connected to those goals even when you're not around.
Yes. Okay.
And that is really just the key to reaching the goals, especially in the general population. Athletes have already tapped into their intrinsic motivation, but for especially in the general population. So at ACE, we've actually we launched a health coaching certification. Probably 7 years ago or so, well before I got there. So I
Yeah.
take zero credit for the innovation there.
Yeah.
But that certification at that time was really we're really on the leading edge.
Mm.
What the industry has evolved into is that there's a health coaching job where
Yeah.
your entire job role is to coach people to change their behavior. But at
Yeah.
ACE, we've also created adjunct courses like our behavior change specialist and even smaller courses that help fitness professionals weave the behavior change concepts
Yes.
into the
Okay.
work that they do every single day, so
Yeah.
that they can tap into that intrinsic motivation.
So, I mean, for trainers that are now trying to deal with their clients, that are obviously online or at a distance, kind of what would be, obviously there's a deeper level of knowledge, but if someone watching this is really just doesn't know where to start, they may actually be doing some sort of coaching already, right? So, I mean, what would you recommend could be a good start for them to kind of get going with just trying to understand what that means between being a coach and just obviously training someone?
Absolutely. Really, there's a very simple way to begin in this direction. And actually, recently we had that same need at ACE where we decided we need to help people to
Yeah.
just dip their toe in the water. And we created what we've coined the mover method, which is taking the simplest form of behavior change coaching and teaching people to apply it.
Gotcha.
So what you're really looking at is um, taking the time to ask open-ended questions. We call it the ABC approach. So you're asking open-ended questions and you're learning more about the individual. And these open-ended questions, of course, the definition of an open-ended question is it's not a yes or no answer. You
Yeah.
cannot answer with a yes or no. And when you're learning how to ask these questions, you catch yourself a lot because you get a
Yeah.
yes or no answer and say, that's not what I wanted. Um, but when you get a yes or no answer, you can always say, tell me more.
Yeah.
And the the open-ended question really dives in. When you ask more and more open-ended questions, it really dives into understanding the person's why.
Mm.
Why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to become more active? Why is it important that you increase your upper body strength?
Yeah.
Understanding those things, because the reason for losing weight is rarely surface. There are
Yes.
deeper and deeper
Completely.
and deeper reasons. And when you really tap into those deeper reasons, you can help people stay connected to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And then the B is breaking down those barriers. So now what's in the way? What's in the way of you doing this, right? So there's two questions you ask. One is, has you ever been successful in reaching a goal like this before? And if they have, what did you do to reach that goal? What made you successful in the past? And if they haven't, then you start to really dive into, what are the barriers? What gets in the way?
Yeah.
In losing weight, it's, well, my husband brings home, cookies from the grocery store. Okay, well, let's talk about that. How can we get your husband on board here?
Yeah.
So there are ways to break down those barriers and work together. And the C is that constant collaboration, in making sure that the goals that you're setting are not goals as a trainer. You say, okay, well, this is what you are going to do. Maybe that's not an hour workout, maybe it's 30 minutes. So what is realistic for you? And when you
Mm.
just break it down into those three simple things, you're already starting in a direction, in a path of autonomous change, because that's what you're trying to elicit with behavior change,
Yeah. No.
is the other individual's autonomous desire to change.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, when you make it sound like that, it is pretty simple. And I guess when as a trainer that's kind of sat at home and maybe not knowing what to do out of the training side of things at the moment, exactly that, can you drop your client a message on WhatsApp or whatever it might be, just starting to get, some more information, I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, there's so many platforms to be able to connect face to
Yeah.
face, even when you're not face to face. And that's the beauty of technology, the advantages that we have today that, the 1918 flu epidemic people didn't
Yeah.
have, right? But we can connect with each other through video platforms, through phone, through
Hmm.
text message. There's so many ways to stay connected to people that
Yeah.
don't involve being in person. And I absolutely encourage people to just get out there and start asking questions. How can I
Yeah.
help you? What are the things that what are you thinking about right now? What are your goals for your health in the next week? Even just keeping it nice and tight and short during this pandemic, because, a lot of people have been talking about, I don't even know what day it is. Time doesn't
Yes.
matter anymore, right? It's just this complete loss of time and routine. So, what are your goals for today? What are your goals for the next week? How can I support you? And maybe it's just like, hey, can you text me later and make sure that I actually did get up and go for that walk? Yes, I
Yeah.
can text you later and check in. So,
Routine has been massive, right? I mean, I've got clients that,
yeah,
are kind of worried about going back to the commute. Uh,
yeah, yes,
you can now do a meeting,
absolutely.
15 minutes before you were supposed to. So definitely asking those questions, getting, diving in and knowing your client more than you did yesterday, I guess, um,
Yeah,
is a good start.
absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So before ACE, one of your other roles was working at Gain, which is, if I'm right, it's a digital kind of offering for personal training, right?
Right,
Um,
absolutely.
so you've obviously got experience with embracing technology and the digital offering. What did you kind of find there that kind of has stayed with you, I guess, that you could share with people that are just about to start embracing a digital part to their business?
Oh, so much. So much also has shifted and grown in that time. At Gain, we were a little too much on the cutting edge of technology, right? We were, before people were really interested in looking at these mobile programming platforms. But what was fantastic about my experience at Gain, the Gain platform, and what I'm seeing today is the ability to connect with people, connect with clients on an ongoing basis to support them between sessions.
Hmm.
That you can even create a completely different model of your training. And that was really what we were putting forward with Gain, where you would meet in person potentially only one time a month. And all of the rest of the programming would come through the app to your client, and you would have messaging that was also within the app to your client, so that you were able to keep in contact with them, change their workouts, update, kind of prod and poke at them to make sure that they were staying consistent, and charge a little bit higher amount of money than you would normally for your time. So instead of charging hour for hour and being constrained by the number of hours you can serve other individuals, you're now monetizing your expertise at by creating these programs and delivering them digitally. And that full package, that full service, is something that especially busy clients who just didn't have time to make appointments, where they got to the gym when they could get to the gym as opposed to on schedule. They really appreciated it. They really loved that kind of flexibility and loved having the expertise of a trainer as well. And it was still also a little bit cheaper than seeing a trainer 2 or 3 times a week. So the trainer's making a little more money for their hourly, the client's paying less, and it was a real win-win. People loved it.
So did you do much on the surveying side of clients as well as trainers, or was it just coaches?
You bet. The model that we had was a marketplace model. So we actually served both the trainers and the clients. So we did a lot of user testing, and we did it with all of our end users, is what you would call them in the digital space. But we did a lot of interviewing to make sure that we were creating a service and a package that was easy to use, but also desirable. And what we found consistently, and what our theory was going into our testing with that, was the trainer matters. A digital, and Gain had started as a digital algorithm. Like, we'll just create an app that's a digital algorithm, and you download the app and it'll tell you what to do. And they started that way. And what the reason for the pivot, and they brought me in during the pivot, was that the trainer matters. The human interaction matters. That human, the individual touching base with somebody, actually talking to them, keeping them motivated, keeping them engaged, that matters.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere, guys.
We're not going anywhere.
Coaches. Yeah, I totally
That's completely true. Completely true. And it did, and that continued to be true. It was the individual person who mattered. And truthfully, and this is something I've seen throughout my career, which, as you gracefully said, has been long, is that the best trainers out there, the absolute best trainers out there, first and foremost, connect with people. They connect at a real deep level with people. And with that, through that connection, they create buy-in and they spark that intrinsic motivation. Secondarily, but also very important, they're excellent programmers. They are fantastic. They're extremely knowledgeable. They keep things engaging and exciting, and they keep at the top of their education game. If I was to say, the 3 top things is, 1, know how to engage with your client, know how to really, and if you're not natural at it, there are people who are not natural at engaging with other people. That's a learned skill. That's behavior change,
totally.
right?
Yeah.
So learn the skills to engage deeply with your clients, continue your education, and then, stay at the top of your programming game so that your clients feel engaged every single time.
Yeah. Did you find that the clients needed to train more or less, or was there any kind of, because obviously this whole kind of consumer fitness, should we call it, where people just want to have it when they want to have it, and how they want to have it. Some people want to go to the gym and see their trainer once a week, and then they have a Peloton bike for Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then they, maybe want to do a running guided app the other days, So did you find that they were training? Was there any kind of trends, I guess, with working with the trainer through the app?
I think that's an excellent question, and it was something that we were seeing even at that time. The variety, people liked that variety. They liked to pick and choose, and that's one of the reasons they loved the platform that we were offering is that they
Mhm.
weren't committed and locked into 2 or 3 times a week with a trainer,
Yeah.
but instead that was just one part of their workout regimen. And so the flexibility of having this workout program that they would follow, and they would commit, and they would say, yeah, you know what, I just need something for 30 minutes once or twice a week, because then I'm gonna jump into a spin class, or I'm gonna go for a run, or whatever
Yeah.
the other things were that they were balancing out, which, by the way, is better for your overall health, and it's better for your
Totally.
body over the long run. So that's fantastic. But that was one of the reasons that it was so successful, is it gave them the
Mhm.
opportunity to have that variety
Yeah.
without being locked into the schedule.
Yeah. So, I mean, with Remote Coach, we've seen the average session length is actually like 34 minutes, you know? So we have spoken to a lot of trainers coming onto the platform and looking at, do I just mimic everyday life? I think, what we've found is, yes, you obviously want to mimic that kind of building the rapport, but, I think there is also room here as we go into this next kind of wave of fitness, that people do want to have shorter workouts, maybe more frequent, and getting that mindset around, you're not actually going to need to be there in face to face all the time, but offering a 20-minute morning workout, and then they do an hour with you on a Wednesday. So there's huge opportunity. But I think you touched upon the education. Definitely, we are moving into a space where the likes of Peloton and Mirror and Tonal and all these other offerings are using AI to build on demand, let's say, fitness offerings. But like you said, the fitness professionals, the personal trainers, we're still going to be there, but we need to obviously be better, or continue to be better. So the education side is definitely something to look at. And for those of you that haven't seen the behavior change course, I highly recommend it with Ace.
Excellent.
But what about so with Gain, and I spoke about this just before we started, I remember you saying, gosh, a few years ago now, but how you've done some surveys on what people needed with regards to, some clients needed some audio cues, some people need visual cues. Can you just tell us a bit more about that as well?
Oh, you bet. So really, it's a lot about learning, and it's really based in learning and how people learn. So it depends on what your client's base knowledge is, what their exercise history is, and the exercise that you're trying to ask them to do. So if you're trying to ask them to do, say, a push-up, and we'll just use something simple,
Mhm.
because exercises all have different names for the same movement pattern. So
Yeah.
we'll stick with the push-up,
Yeah.
or a squat. Um, as you're trying to teach somebody this movement pattern, some people say, I know, I got to push up, got it,
Yeah.
done, check. And you watch them do it, even through something like Remote Coach, where you're video based,
Mm.
and they do a push up, and you're looking at them and you're like, yeah, you've got it. But then there are other people who are like, they've not really done a push up, or they've been doing it wrong for a very long time. I know we see that
Yeah.
very frequently. And your role is to teach them how to do it. You need to use a combination of that visual, and the auditory cueing, to help them to understand exactly what they're doing. And the third thing is kinesthetic. So they have to practice it. They can't just look at you doing it.
Yeah.
Um, but there's the demonstration, and then there's the audio, the cueing. So you
Yeah.
have to have those words to help them to understand, and you have to change up your words, because
Mm.
not everybody understands your words the same way. So one of the things that I learned over my years of personal training was a variety of different cues for the same movements.
That's
And I,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I would listen to other trainers, and I would be like, oh, that's a good one. I like that one. Or I talk
Mm.
to different trainers. I'm like, I'm having a really hard time teaching this person to get
Mm.
their shoulders down and down and back isn't working.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like, I'm doing it. You're like, no, you're not doing it. So, so helping people to understand things through the visual, through the cueing, the audio cueing, and then also through your demonstration, so that so through their kinesthetic
Yeah.
learning, so that they're trying it and they're feeling it in their
Yeah.
body.
Gotcha.
Personal trainers especially tend to be kinesthetic learners. It's, I think, part of
Yeah.
the reason that we like what we do, is that when we move and we do something, we're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
But, even we feel like once we hear somebody talk about it, we understand movements at a deeper level. Sometimes we understand how to do them even better. So,
Yeah. Gotcha.
bringing
Okay.
that in is important too.
So really kind of try to work on, if you're used to training someone and you're maybe queuing and demoing at the same time, which I know when I think about some trainers that work in the facilities here, maybe obviously really focus on those queuing words and break it down maybe, I guess, a bit more. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially when you switch to that video platform. But the tools that work on video are the ones that we're doing in the gym too. We just have to be more precise.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so, and again, it's the best trainers are doing it already.
Mm.
So it's that here's my demonstration. Okay, so pick 2 or 3 things that you want them to really focus in on when you do your demonstration. So if you're doing your squat, notice that my hips go backwards before they go down.
Mhm.
Notice that my hips bend before my knees bend. See me doing that? Okay, now that's what I want you to do.
Yeah.
And it's just 1 or 2 things that you have them focus on. They do it, and now you're going to see, oh, they're slouched forward, forward around the shoulders. Your next cue is going to be like, this is great. Your hips and knees look great. Now we're going to focus on your spine. I want you to keep your spine long and,
Yeah.
and your head up. Make sure you're looking at the wall in front of you. Great. Hips and knees look great. And now your spine looks great. This is
Yes.
perfect. Now continue. So it's all of those things together, but you're being very specific. And making sure that in your queuing, it's 1 or 2 things at a time. Always 1 or
Yeah.
2 things at a time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's overload.
Yeah. Okay. I guess the last question from me for today would be, how do you see the future of, the fitness trainer professional and what we're talking about with regards to all of it, the behavior change, the technology? Do you kind of have, even if it's, just your own view, looking into the future?
I love it. I love it. We all have our own view because nobody has any idea what's going to happen after this pandemic. We have no clue. And I'm intellectually curious. I am intellectually curious about where things will go. In times of extreme change, innovation is always the leader.
Mm.
So I think that I believe that there are clients and there are trainers and there are facilities who are going to jump on the digital services and the video coaching model, and they're going to find that they love it and that they excel and that it is a wonderful model for them and it fits their lifestyle and it fits their
Yeah.
needs, and they're not going to go back.
Yeah.
Because why would they when they have just been introduced to something that fits perfectly and they didn't even know it
Mm.
existed? There are, after any pandemic, people are going to be afraid to congregate and they're going to need service. And
Yes.
we as professionals are going to have to reach out. We are going to have to adapt so that we can continue to serve them, even if they don't want to congregate in a gym. And to be honest, gyms, especially the big ones, do not have a wonderful reputation for being clean. So really, that's going to bite us in the long run. The places that I think are going to do well are the studios, the smaller places where there's a more
Mhm.
intimate community atmosphere, the places where people can't wait to get back to see the friendly faces, the friends, just the place they call like a second home.
Yeah.
Um, and there's a trust there. There's a trust in the ownership or the staff that it is going to be clean, that they do care,
Mm.
that they are going to make sure that it's safe for them. And I think those are the places that are going to thrive. Um, and I think that there will be a shift towards behavior change. We're already seeing it, but it becomes, as I said, much more essential when uh, parts of your communication, which are the togetherness, is
Yes.
gone. Then the verbal communication and the ability to connect with an individual at that deeper level isn't through eye contact as well. You don't see it in the video as
Yeah.
well, right? So it needs to be through your words, and it needs to be through the conversation at a deeper level. So when you're missing here in California, especially in Southern California, they would call that energy, the
Yeah.
energetic connections, right, of the in-person, and that's gone. It really has to be through words, and behavior change offers professionals an ability to create that connection, and a toolbox, uh,
Yes.
to
You can go
create
back
that
to. Yeah.
connection. Yeah, absolutely. So, so there will be change. I think the scariest thing for a lot of people is we don't know what that's going to look like. We have
No, I
no
know.
idea, but um, it is so important for individuals to capitalize on the opportunity for change.
Yeah.
That really is
Yeah.
essential.
And I guess just lastly, then, where could some of the trainers listening to this see some of these courses we've spoke about? Is it just on the ACE website? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We're www.acefitness.org. So
Yeah.
it's ACEFITNESS.org. So go there, hit the education button, and under there is where you'll find all of our online courses.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you for joining me, Lauren. Thank you. And I'll
Oh,
speak to
thank
you
you for
soon.
having me. It was great, Ben. I appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks, then.